exhausted isn't because you're doing too much. It's because you're performing. And what if I told you if you stop performing, you move into presence and authority, right? So let me tell you this story. I, this week, had an entire shoot planned. My one of my very good friends owned a beautiful hotel on the lake, and she opened up the presidential suite for me. She was so hospitable. Opened up the presidential suite for me. It was beautiful. It has a baby grand piano. All the things were in it, and so we were going to film. And when we went to do the shot list, one of my assistants sent me a shot list, and it had "Get ready with me," and a few other things. So in me packing, getting myself ready to do this, get ready with me, I couldn't figure out why I was struggling. Because I was thinking, okay, get ready with me. What does that mean? And then she had told me, okay, well, there's a robe, like you put on the robe and you do your makeup as if people are getting ready with you. And I was like, okay. So because I always wanted to live in the space of growing, maturing, getting better, I was like, oh, okay, we'll try this. But when I went to pack, I I was having a really difficult time. So we got there. I mean, they had to take all the lights, all the things over there, and it took a while, right? Because there's a big setup. They set up, she set up every single thing, all the lights in the bathroom. She unpacked all of the outfits and things that I had. And the very first thing we did, she said, Miss Lopez, you need to put this robe on and you need to get in the mirror. And you know how you do your declarations and affirmations? You need to do it in the mirror. And I was like, okay, like how I do at home for myself. She said, yes. So I had clothes on under the robe, but I put the robe on and I got in the mirror and I started talking. Said, that doesn't feel right. Then she said, okay, well, then can you show your makeup? I said, okay, I'll show my makeup. So now I'm talking through my makeup. I turned and looked at her. I said, that doesn't feel right. So I said, let's move on to something else. This doesn't feel right. She said, okay. So now I changed clothes. There's a big mirror that I have in my home, and there was one there. I love mirrors, y'all. To get ready. And so I put on the clothes. I walked to the mirror, walk back and forth, look around, do my little pose. And I said, something feels really, really off. And she was like, well, why? What is happening? I said, I don't know. Let's try something else. Okay. So I went to try something else, y'all. I went and before we got to the room, I was walking through the hotel looking around and she filmed that. That was probably the thing that I love the most. Inside of the room, though, I kept trying to figure out. We went outside. It is a beautiful room. If y'all haven't been there, I will link it below. My girlfriend and her husband own this hotel. It is fabulous. So I go outside. I go on the deck, and it's overlooking the entire lake. Okay, right? The lake is frozen, but the atmosphere outside to me feels really ew, like ew. Now, granted, I am the girl that loves sunshine. I thrive off of sunshine. It's part of my personality. It's part of who I am. Uh, but it just felt just like wouldn't, I just couldn't do it, right? Anyway, so we pack up. This is 9 to 3. Okay, this is how much time I have clearly wasted. 9 to 3. So I have her pack it up. I said, I don't know what it is, but today's a waste. Um, I felt bad because one, I don't like wasting any time and any money. And my friend had opened the suite for me. I'm sure they had to come in there and clean it again. I just didn't feel it. So as I was leaving and I came back, I sat still and I'm like, it was really bothering me because I couldn't figure out what the problem was. And so later on, still was having a struggle. I go to Whole Foods. I'm like, let me grab myself something to eat. And as I'm walking through Whole Foods and I'm still thinking about it, it dawned on me. And I was like, God, what is happening? And I heard in my spirit, why did you start this? Why did you start doing this in the first place? Why did you start speaking? Because you've been in fashion for 2 decades. Why did you then start teaching what you teach your clients? And I said, because I had something to say. And then it was like, I got it. Doing that get ready with me and putting that robe on and doing makeup and walking people through how I did my face is not why I do this. It's not why I started this. I started this because I have something to say, to empower women, to encourage women, to call them higher, to help them show up and own who they are and make that image congruent with what's going on the inside. I didn't start this to do Get Ready With Me. And Get Ready With Me is such a huge trend that my assistant wanted me to do it because I am used to living outside of my comfort zone. But outside of your comfort zone is one thing. Performing is another thing. And I could not bring myself to do any of the shot lists because it was a performance. And I have literally built my career, built what I do, what I teach on image, presence, authority, voice, on being exactly who I am. And so it was the point of I couldn't do it because it felt like performing. And so I just wanted to go over a few things because if, in fact, you feel like you are performing or you're exhausted and you can't get something done, it could very well be the fact that who you are now doesn't match what it is that you're doing. And it now feels like a performance instead of you just being. Listen, when you just show up and you just are and you're just being and you're doing what it is that you were created to do, it's hard. A lot of times it's hard because you got to do things when you don't necessarily feel like doing it. But your whole body, your whole soul, your whole spirit is not going to resist something when it's alignment, okay? So let me just I just want to give you 3 pointers today, just about going from performance to presence. And when you go from performance to presence, it's essentially the same thing as you going from performance to real authority. And real authority in any area, in anything that you master, changes your life and changes people's lives around you and makes an impact, okay? So I want to go over these 3 points just to give you some clarity if you might be suffering from this. Maybe it's your job, maybe it's at home, maybe it's in relationships. When you have to constantly perform, you cannot keep it up. Performance is exhausting on every level. You know how singers go out and sing, and when they're done, they're super exhausted? Well, because they've actually performed, but they're doing what it is that they love to do, but they're on stage, right? When I go speak, when I travel to speak, I don't talk before I get on stage, and I need a few minutes after I've come off of stage to rest, to like reflect, to decompress, because it takes a lot out of you. And even though I am being and teaching what I know, it's still a level of performance, right? It is exhausting. So can you imagine if you have grown, changed, evolved, and you are still doing what you did before? It becomes a performance and it will exhaust your entire body, your entire spirit, your entire soul. So let me give you 3 pointers, okay? Number 1, performance comes from misalignment. Performance comes from misalignment. Performance happens when your identity and your assignment are no longer aligned. Performance happens when your identity and your assignment are no longer aligned. What you used to flow in now requires effort. And we're not talking about you growing and being uncomfortable. It is a big difference. The feeling is different when you're uncomfortable than when your whole everything is pushing against, no, this is not how you should do it. No, this is not what you do. No, this is not you. There's a difference, right? When something feels forced, that's a signal not to push harder, but to pause. When something feels forced, that is a signal to you not to push harder, but just to give yourself a moment to pause. Pausing instead of pushing is the first step to you going back in alignment. If you have to perform it, you're not aligned with it. I'm telling you what I know. So if your body and soul and everything in you says, I can't do this, something is wrong, you just got to get back in alignment. And that doesn't mean stop it altogether. That means just take a pause. Just take a pause, okay? Point number 2, presence is embodied authority. Presence, how you show up and you are and you can just be, that is embodied authority. It is who you are. It is in every moment. It is within you, right? Presence is what happens when you are and when you are who you are and how you show up. They are congruent. They match, okay? There's no forcing, no over explaining, no proving. Authority is felt before it is spoken. When I walk into a room, you should feel the authority that I carry, the weight of what I carry. When you walk into the room, people feel the weight of what you carry, okay? What helps is simplifying how you show up. Say less, move slower, and let your presence, your authority, do the work instead of trying to convince people. You don't have to try to convince people of your value and your worth and who you are and what you know you've mastered. You just have to show up, be settled in it, and do it. That will alleviate you performing. When you perform, you over explain, you talk more than you have to. If you ever look at someone that has full clarity and has mastered what they do, they just show up and they are it. They embody it. They're not performing it. And that makes people want to know and have more of it. So that also not only will affect your relationships, your work ethic, but it affects your income, because the more people want what you have to offer, the higher your income increases. Okay, point number 3, last point. Your body protects authority before your mind does. And this is a big one, because this is why I could not bring myself to do it. Your body will shut down performance to protect your authority. It will say no, like a red light, like when something is screaming at you, stop. And it is essentially your body, your spirit, your soul protecting the authority that God has given you, who he's created you to be, right? Because if you perform too much, you will lose that. And the thing that you were purposed to do, it will delay, detour that thing because you are performing over here. Okay. That resistance isn't fear, and you're not being laziness. You know how you like, I'm lazy, I don't feel motivated to do it. That's not what it is. It's essentially a part of discernment. What helps is listening instead of overriding. Pay attention to where your body resists. That resistance is information, like pain. It is information to point you back into alignment, for you to question, something's wrong here. Something is going on here. I don't know what it is, but let me pause. Let me not go harder. Let me pause for a second so that I can get myself back into alignment. And one of the first questions that you need to ask, which came to me in my spirit, was why. If you go back to the beginning of why you started doing what you're doing and how you've grown in what you're doing, then you'll know if you are still trying to use or go back to the old version of you that you have outgrown. I have far outgrown performing for anyone or anything. I have mastered what I do and I'm settled in it. And I constantly want to grow and learn in the area of what I do, but I am not performing when I do it. When I'm on stage speaking, that is a part of performance, but I am actually speaking who I am, what I do, what I live, what I've gotten results from every client, right? There is a big difference. So while I've been in fashion and beauty for almost 2 decades, doing a get ready with me is not why I started speaking, teaching, coaching in the first place. And quite honestly, I don't want you to get ready with me. And even though it is a big trend, every trend is not for you. I started designing clothes so that I can show women what power and authority looks like when they show up in the room, and that it be congruent with who they are. I didn't start designing. I don't show up online looking away and acting away to get you to buy into that. I started doing the clothes and the beauty because it is actually who I am. And I put it out in the public and started speaking with it to coach so that you could see. And this is what it looks like when you show up in your fullness. I'm not doing it just to do it, just to get online and do makeup. And I love watching Get Ready with Me's, but they're not me. And if you ever saw me do a Get Ready with Me, I would actually be going to the place where I'm getting ready for. And this is why I couldn't do it. So pay attention to where your body resists. The resistance is information pointing you back into alignment. Performance asks you to prove. Presence gives you permission to be. Performance asks you to prove. Presence gives you permission just to be. Okay? I hope that helped you this week. It sure was a big eye opener for me. And even though I've taught this for years, we are never immune to something happen where it's sparking like, oh, am I about to perform? Oh, no, I'm not. My body said, no, 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 no. So pay attention to the places and spaces where it's like, no, I can't do it. I can't move. I don't feel motivated. You're not being lazy. Maybe it is that you are discerning that you are out of alignment. So you just need to pause and get yourself back into alignment. Then you will start performing and start showing up in full authority. All right. Until next time, show up for yourself because when you do, it changes everything.